Basic Education Portfolio Committee is concerned about vandalism at schools. The Gauteng Education Department says schools have become soft targets for organised crime syndicates and scrap metal collectors. It's reported 11 schools were vandalised during the recent unrest and looting. To discuss this further, we're joined by the Basic Education Portfolio Committee Chairperson, Bongiwe Mbinqo-Gigaba, who joins us from Cape Town. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Now, your Portfolio Committee had a report back or a review from the Provincial Departments of Education just to give you an idea of the damage done during last month's public unrest in the province. What was the picture that was painted for your committee?
Hi, good evening to you and good evening to the listeners at home. Look, we got the report from the Department of Gauteng and the Department of Basic Education as well. And we got a picture that there's a serious vandalism. To an extent, we thought when we left our homes to an oversight that we thought that probably there were schools that were banned as well. And we have realized when we were there that no, it is actually 11 schools like we have alluded to. And it has been just vandalism that has happened to the schools. Nothing really of the schools that were banned as we have thought.
And now, this oversight visit happened after the public unrest in the two main provinces. But surely there must be some kind of evidence that this has been a major issue long before we saw the unrest just a few weeks ago.
No, look, the issue of vandalism, it has been there in most of our schools throughout the country. So, because of it has been there, and remember when the public unrest was happening, it was actually public holidays. So there was no school. And people took advantage of what was happening at the time, and they vandalized the schools like they were normally doing it. So it did happen during the unrest as well.
Now, we heard from MEC Panyaza Lesufi. He told the committee that Gauteng province is losing the battle against school vandalism. Now, you hear that from an MEC who we've spoken to repeatedly when this kind of thing has taken place. I think it was not so long ago that every time we heard about a brand new school opening with all the latest technology and beautiful resources for the school, you could almost set your clock to a few days later or a few weeks later that we'd be speaking to the MEC because that same school has been vandalized and broken into. What are we hearing about this being the work of organised crime syndicates? Is there a need for the Education Department to be working more closely with the Department of Police and Law Enforcement to try and get to the bottom of this?
Yes, look, I do agree with MEC Lesufi. It's continuous. It's continuous since we've been part of this committee from 2019. There is no term, which is a term is only 3 months. There is no term where you would not hear a story of vandalism somewhere in any province. So it's continuous. It is happening. And yes, I think from the side of the committee, it is very much important that the two departments work together. You need police. But I think we must emphasize as well that as much as you need police, you need communities also to start to understand the importance of taking ownership of the schools. Because most of the schools, in fact, all the schools that we have visited, they are amongst communities. So when this vandalism are happening, it is the people of the same community that are vandalizing the schools. So it needs our communities now to stand up and understand that it is also their responsibility to protect their infrastructure.
What is going to be your committee's official recommendation now that you've received these reports from the two departments? What is going to be your recommendation to these departments of what should happen next?
fortunately, particularly with Gauteng, most of what has been vandalized, the department has already fixed it, and I think we must commend the department for a quick response, as well as in KZN. I think it's most probably the same situation. But our recommendation, of course, was, as much as we understand, remember, this is not money that was budgeted for. So as much as we understand the situation that they don't have money, but of course we are encouraging them where they are able to scrap monies and get monies. We are encouraging them to try and fix the damage that has been done. It's unfortunately their problem, and they have to just fix it. So what we will recommend is that they would have to look into the issues of budget and where they are able to fix our schools throughout the province, both provinces actually.
This must be very frustrating for the MECs and indeed the people working on your committee, that we feel that in this sphere of society is where we need the most work, so that our kids have decent resources and decently resourced schools to go to. It must be very frustrating to keep taking 3 steps back every time you take 1 step forward.
But you can imagine it is frustrating, because look, it was frustrating us. You know, there is a school where we went, if I can just say, there is a school where we went last week, and you would understand that a perpetrator went through the ceiling and messed up a ceiling to get through, and messed up the doors only to steal papers. No computers, the computers were left there. All things that you would think they are valuable, they were left there. But people just do all that mess. Imagine the department would have to fix the ceiling from outside, inside, and fix the doors for someone who went to the school to just steal a paper, you know. So it must be frustrating, because instead of, and there is a serious backlog of infrastructure, by the way, from the department. So you can imagine that it is seriously frustrating, because instead of you moving forward, you need the little resources that you have, you need to redo something that you have done before. So, I mean, no one with a really, no one would really love to do that.
Yeah, indeed, frustrating indeed. And it does become frustrating because we keep having these same conversations and we're not getting to the bottom of the issue. Thank you so much for your time this evening. That was Basic Education Portfolio Committee Chairperson Bongiwe Mbinqo-Gigaba speaking to us there from Cape Town.